Like when people are like, never give up, don't give in. I've really learned what that meant because the amount of
Uh-huh.
no's to yeses that you get in entrepreneurship is insane. I mean, I hear at
Yes.
least 1,000 no's like every week, it feels like about something. But it's like that one yes that you're like fighting for is like what you like that carries you on for another 6,000 no's. So
This is Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. And now your host, A.D. Edwards.
Welcome to another episode of Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. Now, before we start, if you're enjoying the conversations that we're bringing to you every other week, take a quick second, please, to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you inspiring stories from innovators who are changing industries and lives. Now, every once in a while, a founder's story stops you dead in your tracks. Today's guest went from being on life support after a severe allergic reaction to creating one of the most exciting clean energy beverage brands in the USA. Her journey is about resilience, purpose, and shaking up a multi-billion-dollar industry. Anna Cobb is the visionary founder behind Rejuvenation, a plant based energy drink company born from a near death experience that changed her life forever. With a background in plant science and a passion for clean ingredients, Anna took on the giants of the energy drink market with a natural alternative that's already on the shelves in more than 75 stores across 8 states. She's also a recipient of Pharrell Williams' prestigious Black Ambition Prize, which helped propel her vision to new heights. Anna, welcome to Ingleside Reviews Innovators Unveiled.
thank you so much for having me. That was that was a perfect intro. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. As I say to many guests, I try to take their whole body of work and summarize it in 30 seconds if I could, you know?
Yeah.
So tell us, Anna, let's get started from the beginning. Can you take us back to the time you, well, to what changed everything? You basically had a health crisis that ultimately inspired this rejuvenation brand. Tell us exactly what happened with you.
Yeah, so in 2017, I used to play volleyball, so I was working out that summer and had gone into GNC and was just like sampling, you know how they have like the free samples of, oh, you can try a
Mm-hmm.
energy vitamin or whatever. And so the young lady was just like, I have a energy gummy, you should try it out. It's, supposed to help with like women's health, the whole body recomposition, the whole thing. And so tried it, and I would say in about 30 to 45 minutes later, my face had, like, completely swole up, my tongue was completely swollen, and my grandmother, who at the time was 90 years old, or no, she was 88, we'll give her 88. She was,
Okay.
a little
That's
older.
still impressive.
Yes.
That's still impressive.
She was like, I don't know what to do. My mom's trying to tell her how to use the EpiPen. She's like, I've never heard of any of these things. And so she called 911, and by the time they got there, they were like, there was like no I was not getting any oxygen to my brain at that
Oh
point.
wow.
And so they hurried up, gave me the epi through IV, and then I woke up in the hospital 2 weeks later. And so literally, like, my mom and my grandmother, they said that they stayed the entire time. They were like, they didn't know what happened. And all the doctors kept saying was that in my blood, it kept showing up as synthetics. There was no actual name for it. They couldn't pinpoint what it was. They went through every drug screening, everything, trying to figure out, okay, well, what is it that was in that gummy, or what did she take that could have caused this? So yeah.
That's that's a very scary situation.
Yeah, it's
Now,
very.
your grandmother may not have knowledge about how to use an EpiPen, but she knew how to call 911. Thank God.
Right.
So
God.
they helped you.
Yeah.
So how long were you in the hospital, Anna?
So, I was in so it's funny, I tell people that I actually, like, remember waking up, but I was on, like, the life support machine, and then every time I would come to, they were saying that my airway was shutting back down, and so that's why they would go ahead and induce the coma again, and so, literally, they were like, "Until we can get her into a point where it's like her body doesn't go into this reaction, mode, we have to keep inducing this coma over and over again." So I would say in total, it was about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks that I spent in
Mm-hmm.
ICU. And then after that, I moved to like the just, general hospital. And then I ended up going home. They did say that I had two seizures during that entire time. And so they were like, watching for epilepsy, all the different things. I went through rehab. I suffered from a lot of memory loss. It was just like, a whirlwind of things that went on, but luckily, within 2 months' time, I felt good enough, and my mom was, like, really scared, but I was like, "I wanna go back to school, I wanna go back to school on time, I wanna finish on time," so I went back to school, and I got my degree in plant science from Tuskegee University. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, going back to your situation in the hospital, as you were recovering, what was going through your mind? Was it I'm trying to figure out at what point you said to yourself, I have to bring a different alternative to market.
Yeah, it was more of just like I think for me, I was being so young, I was more afraid than anything. I was like, "Oh my goodness, like is my life over?" Cuz you hear these stories about, oh, it's like one little thing and then boom, your life is over. Like you have to now like
Mhm.
figure out to pick up the pieces. And I remember I had such, like, vivid dreams while I was in the coma. Like, I tell people, like, coma dreams are different. You feel like you're
Really?
actually there. You feel like you're, like, in like, it's happening around you, and it felt so quick. When I woke up and I looked at the date on how they have, like, today's the date
Yes.
and this is your name, da da da. And she's like, "What's this year?" And I'm telling her, and I'm looking at the date like, "Wait a minute. I remember when I just went to sleep like 20 minutes ago."
Wow.
But yeah, I just remember having such like dreams of like fight and like survival. It was like, oh my goodness, like I have to like get out of this and have to do something about it because it's like this won't happen to anyone else. And it wasn't until I had gotten back to school that I was telling one of my professors who is like super faith based, like him and I have conversations just, surrounding our faith and everything. And he was saying, he was like, "You survived, so do something about it." And he was like, "That's your calling."
Okay.
Boom.
So now you said you started to study plant science. Was that something you were on track to do before this incident, this crisis, or did the crises cause you to uh, go in that direction?
So I was already in like the agriculture on an agriculture track. So
Mm-hmm.
I was getting my degree in like it was plant and soil science with an agriculture like, focus. At the time I just thought, "Oh, I want to work for USDA. I want to help farmers learn about better practices for their crops and like crop rotation and ways that they can use technology to develop better farming practices," is what I thought I wanted to do. Um,
Okay.
and then after this crisis, I was like, okay, like there's so much more to plant science. I mean, there's holistic nutrition, there's of course, the agriculture piece of it, but there's this like merge between um wellness and plant science that has not really been like brought to fruition yet. It was not something that
Mm-hmm.
most people were doing, and so I was thinking, I was like, "Oh, is there some way that I can get back into kind of what I was raised on and also use my degree to like make something cohesive.
Okay. All right. I see that. When it comes to entrepreneurship, sometimes it could be very isolating, right? So, how did you navigate the emotional ups and downs when you first came with this idea of building rejuvenation, especially after such a life changing event? Some people might say, hey, just worry about your health and you don't need to do all this other stuff.
Yeah, so I will say that yeah, Tuskegee played such a huge role in what I even came up with and how my steps were ordered. Um, Tuskegee is located in a food desert, and so I was already really focused on, okay, how do we bring healthier food, fruits and vegetables to this area? So I was just looking at it grand scheme of things. Okay, incorporating more apples and oranges, whatever. But then it turned into this. I was born and raised Seventh-day Adventist, and so we usually practice a vegan vegetarian diet. And so have known since birth how to cook really good vegan and vegetarian food. I started my first company, Vegan Clean Cuisine, which was well, second company on campus, Vegan Clean Cuisine, which was a vegan catering service. And so I was doing vegan catering for the neighboring community of Tuskegee as well as the students on campus, all out of my dorm room. Super unsafe. Um, and we moved from doing that, COVID hit, and so we all had to go home, but my friends and family were like, "Hey, those juices you were giving me, like, I really still want those. Can you ship them in the mail?" So that's when my mom and my grandmother were like, "Hey, we can help you at home, try to freeze stuff, send it in the mail, and then people can still be able to order basically how they had always been ordering." So we went through that process, and then after that is when it kind of took like a switch. It was like, okay, we're actually making money off of this. This could actually be
Mm-hmm.
something. We should probably get some real bottles instead of, using like water bottles and Amazon,
Right.
bottles and things like that. Um, so then we started doing pop-up shops, farmers markets, and those sorts of things. And I had stepped away from the business, and my mom, my grandmother, and a family friend of ours was running it while I was at Purdue getting my master's. While I was getting my master's, I was hating everything about it. I was getting in entomology, and then they ended up running it, and they met a retailer who ultimately got us in our first retail store. So then I stepped.
What store was that?
Harris Teeter.
Okay. So it sounds as if the family was supporting you from the start.
Very much so, yes.
And that's very good, and it's not always like that with entrepreneurs. I have to wonder though, when you had the catering business, are these some of the same recipes you use in rejuvenation now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so none of
Okay.
our formula has changed, since starting, actually.
Oh,
Everything is very much
interesting.
still the same, still super hard to make, but we're getting it done.
Now through all of this, um and you said a family friend, your mother and your grandmother took over the business while you were studying in Purdue. So you're in Indiana studying. And did you ever think about quitting?
Every day. Every
Okay.
single day.
What kept you going during those moments? What
Um I think it was well, my mom is very much like, "Here's your choices. You have 2 choices, that's it." So, she was like, "You're either gonna get this master's or you're going to become a millionaire, you're gonna take care of me. Those are your 2 choices." And so, I was like, "Okay, I hated my deg I was, like I was in entomology. My focus was bed bugs and roaches, and I absolutely hated it. Like I'm okay with bugs, but like bed bugs and roaches is a whole new thing. So I was like, I'm gonna take the millionaire route and I'm gonna just try to make this business work. If I
Right,
can get
right,
out of
right.
going to Purdue, because she was like, "You're not throwing away that full scholarship." But I was like, "Yes, I am."
So yeah, that's good. So even when you thought about, oh, I could do something else, mom was not having it.
No.
Now, let's talk about building the foundation from rejuvenation. First of all, before I get into that, do you have different flavors?
Yes. So we have pineapple, which was our first product, apple, hibiscus, peach is seasonal, and then we have our blacker, which is blackberry, and that's also sort of seasonal. We might be bringing it on full time, and then we have our latest product that we just launched, which is our sparkling okra water.
Okra water. That's what I was getting into because I saw that when I was doing research, background research for you. So that's fairly new, right? Like how recent is that?
The water literally just launched in July.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
real recent. And is it available in the same stores that carry rejuvenation?
No, so Okra is only online for pre-order right now. We were able to we sold 3,000 cans of the Okra water within the first month of pre-order launch. And so right now we are targeting some retailers. We have about 4 airports that have already put in purchase orders for the Okra water, as well as we have 2 major retailers that I can't name just yet that are bringing the
Okay.
Okra water in January.
That's excellent news. I got sort of a silly question for you. Is it in GNC?
No, 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 no.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
Oh, no, no. No, I've
Okay,
actually reached
so
out to
you
GNC multiple times for like, I'm like, let's work together.
yeah, let's get it in there. You have your synthetic and you have your naturals now, so let's get it in there. Most of a lot of businesses I've talked to people I've interviewed on this show, and they've started their business in the kitchen. They started in the garage, different things like that. You started in a dorm room, correct? When you first started doing this, what 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 was the catalyst for the first time you made this juice? Did someone ask you to make it or you was making it for yourself and then someone tasted it? Tell me, how did this dorm room operation begin?
So it's funny because I tell people all the time. So my name on Instagram, y'all follow me on Instagram too. My name on Instagram is the Herbal Hottie, and I got that name from a group of my friends that used to be like, "Oh, like Anna is always so like hair, nails, lashes, but she's gonna make you a good beetroot pizza," or they're like, "You can go over there and get her fresh celery juice casserole," and I'm like, "Y'all." But it's because
Okay. Okay.
I used to always cook, like, super duper, like, I would say what I was raised on, vegan, vegetarian foods, but at the same time, like, my family definitely has a lot of, like, soul and a lot of culture from, like, different areas that they've, like, grown up in, so all of those things are incorporated in the food, so it's like, yes, I might make peanut butter loaf, but it's gonna taste just like meatloaf, so these are all
Okay.
things that, like, I used to cook for my friends, or I would cook for myself, and I would be like, "Oh, try this," and they'd be like, "This is good, but what am I eating?" And so,
Right.
yeah, so from that point forward, it was like I was already making my detox juices for myself. And then because I studied in Costa Rica, and while in Costa Rica, I met a farmer that actually put me onto the herb that we use in our products, which is called Wyasa, and it's a plant that they usually eat in Ecuador to provide them with energy. Like farmers, they just chew on it. But we
Mm-hmm.
started to dry it, and then we would boil the leaves into our actual juice. And that's what gives the juice the energy part. So we had the detox juices and we had the energy just by itself, and then we combined the two.
Now, were you doing that in the dorm room or that was later on?
This was in my dorm. This was in my dorm. Yeah,
Oh,
it
wow.
was a lot happening. I had two. We always say we had one pot and a tea strainer. I was getting it together.
Wow. Now, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced early on when you were making the product and when you had the idea of the product and you want to get it out there to people beyond the dorm?
Yeah. So when I finally came home and we were making it in my mom's kitchen, my mom had like super tiny townhome in Maryland, still nothing. It was bigger than my dorm room, but it wasn't super large. Um, the biggest thing that we would run into was it took forever to make Just like we were just talking about this in a team meeting. It used to take us almost 6 hours to make 1 gallon. Like,
Wow.
it would take because we were squeezing pineapple juice, literally, like, with one squeezer. We had squeezed lemon juice. It took us forever to boil the leaves, dry them out. Everything, it took so long that we would be so tired and we would have just, like, 1 gallon of juice, and that 1 gallon could make us 8 bottles. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's tough. There's an expression, the juice not worth the squeeze. you
literally,
you you literally know what that means.
literally.
So now you have a challenge. So you had to get a different place, evidently. What was that like? What were those early challenges like? What are some of the things you faced?
Yeah, so after so in all of that and I tell a lot of like, you know, people that have product companies that are like, "Hey, I have this idea or I make it at home." The biggest thing I always tell entrepreneurs is figure out now or figure out early on what scale looks like for you. Even if it's
Mm-hmm.
just a quick little drawing on paper. I knew that we were going to need kettles and pots and strainers and X, Y, and Z. And then I didn't necessarily know what the machinery was called at the time, but I knew what it looked like on paper. And I knew I could take this paper to someone who was in some type of factory to tell me what that process actually was and then to put a cost to that process. Um, but another big challenge for us was supply chain as well as regulatory. Like I said, we had no idea what came with having a cottage business or getting a cottage license, getting a food service license. I was the only one that had a handler's license because I also worked at a restaurant. And another thing, I was working 3 jobs, like right right when we got through that little piece of COVID where, you could go back to work, I was working 3
Mm-hmm.
jobs every since like 3 jobs, 2 during the week, 1 on the weekends, and still
Wow.
making juice and then doing a pop-up shop every Sunday. It is extremely expensive early on. It's more expensive when you're making small batches than it is when you're making large quantities because your money
Mm-hmm.
recoups a lot faster. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like, we didn't know any of those things. It wasn't until I got into my first accelerator program. It's a small program back on the East Coast that is supposed to help food and beverage founders basically
Uh-huh.
find their way or figure out what they're doing with their products. And so we got into them and they had a ton of courses that I took that I could learn about like what all those things look like, how to manufacture, how to get into retail, if retail is the right idea, if going online is the right idea, all those things. And I will say, like, a lot of those courses, YouTube University was my saving grace. Was my saving grace because, yeah, like, you literally don't know what you don't know. So,
Right. Sometimes that's an advantage as an entrepreneur because you do things and people later say, that wasn't how it was supposed to go. And you're like, I didn't know that, but it worked. So that's sometimes an advantage. Now, the beverage industry is notoriously competitive, right?
super competitive.
So
Yeah.
my question is to you is how did you find individuals or groups that could support you, such as retailers and other people that can champion your vision that you have for the company?
Yeah. So I will say the best thing about me is that I'm delusional and that I usually I'm quite stubborn, so I don't necessarily take no for an answer. So um it helped though because we every time we did any pop-up, we always were like we would do a pop-up shop. I remember our first pop-up shop, we had little water bottles and like water jugs that we were like pouring out samples from. The next table
Mm-hmm.
next to us, I mean, they had a beautiful display, all this stuff. But we went home and me and my mom, our family friend, my grandmother, we got on our computers and we were like looking up stuff immediately. Every single pop-up we did made us better for the next one that now it's
Okay.
like we go and we do our booth displays and we're like ranking like number one for best booth display in X, Y, and Z. It really is,
Okay.
it comes down to having that full package. Like we wear matching outfits everywhere we go. I make sure everyone's got same hairstyle, like whatever it is, it's gonna make us like it's gonna separate us from everyone else is how people will always remember you. It doesn't matter. Of course, personally, preferably it should be positive, but you know, we
Right.
always try to make sure like everywhere we go now, people are like, oh, it's the ladies in the yellow jumpsuits, or oh, it's the ladies with the energy juice, or something like that,
Right.
because
Right.
people remember you from. And another thing is like really focus on the branding. We said we're very colorful people. We want you to feel as colorful as us. Like we want you to feel the energy before you even taste our product. And so we made sure we had super loud colors, loud design. My mom used to get on her 3D printer and print us out something really quick, like print us out. We had lightning bolt earrings, or like, something that was crazy out
Okay.
of this world, but people remembered us no matter what, and that's what stuck. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So because you have to set yourself apart in that competitive industry. What's
yes,
something about the beverage industry that surprised you once you got inside of this industry that most outsiders wouldn't even expect?
I think that people don't realize how much money you actually need to make a beverage product successful. So I was reading this article the other day, and it said that most beverage brands have to give out at least $100,000 worth of free samples of their product in order to make back their first 100,000. And I can attest to that. Like
Wow.
1000%. You have to give out, so because at the end of the day with consumables, it's like people want to try it first before they commit. Like with
Of
clothes,
course.
it's like you can see it, you could feel it, touch it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy it, whatever. Or if it's on trend, I'll
Hmm.
buy it. With TikTok now and with Instagram, you can sometimes trust your favorite influencer or your favorite content creator to be like, hey, I have the same qualities as them, or I want the same qualities as them. So whatever they're telling me to buy, I'll buy it. But even with that, people really love free samples. Also, I didn't realize how much money you need to like kind of get these retailers to pay attention to you. I just thought a pitch was a
Hmm.
pitch, like everyone gets treated fairly. That's not the truth. I should have known that, but this is America, so. Oh,
Right.
so at the end of the day, it's like there's slotting fees. If you want to be at eye level, there's buyer psychology. Like there's this amazing beverage book that I read. If I remember the name of it, I'll send you the link. But it talked about how like just the colors of your product, the name, the fonts, and where they sit on the shelf will will basically get someone to purchase your product or not. Red Bull,
Okay.
Celsius, Kavita, Tropicana, they do a fabulous job at it. Like you see Tropicana and you automatically get thirsty because it's bubbles. It's like, but all of that is buyer psychology. Like it triggers your brain to like salivate almost, where it's like, oh, I need to get this because I'm thirsty now. You could have drank all the
Right.
water in your life and you weren't thirsty when you walked
Yes.
in there, but now because you see something, you're thirsty. So all of those things play a part into it, as well as, yeah, it's all a money game at the end of the day. Yeah.
Right. Right. So now you we start out in the dorm. We're in the retailers, and now let's talk about your growth. You move headquarters or operations rather to Tulsa, and you won the Black Ambition Prize, which is a huge milestone. How did those moments impact the trajectory of rejuvenation?
So, okay, let me take a step back to go forward. Um, we were in retail. We failed at retail our first 6 months. We had to pull all of our product off the shelf. I was in shambles. I didn't know what to do. Um, we
Can you
set
tell us what caused that?
money.
Was
We did not
okay,
have
financial. Okay,
we were not in the financial
okay,
space to support retail. We needed to
okay,
pay for advertisement, all those things. So yeah,
okay.
so that 2023 to 2024, I was like, I'm going to raise money. Have never raised $1 in my life. And I was like, I'm going to raise all this money in the world. Da 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 da. I was like, I prayed and prayed and prayed. I said, I went on YouTube. I said, okay, how do I raise money? YouTube was like, get
YouTube
investors.
University.
Right. YouTube University. YouTube was like, get investors, do these things, da da da. I'm like, okay, cool. Couldn't get a single investor to talk to me. We didn't have any real good books, nothing. So, but someone said, hey, I think you should do pitch competitions. I think you talk really well. I think you know your product really well. Pitch competitions is going to be where it's at. So I'm like, okay, boom. I'm going to apply for every pitch competition possible. My first pitch competition, I lost, was devastated, but I was like, okay, I learned from it. My second pitch competition was actually with Black Girl Ventures and Black Ambition when they did the Something in the Water Fest, which is Pharrell Williams' music festival in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
I and a friend of mine drove to Virginia Beach, literally like slept in our car and was like, I'm gonna go out there and pitch. Had no
Right,
clue how
right.
many people were coming to this pitch competition. When I tell you the entire boardwalk was like full of people lined up, but I got there at 5 a.m. The pitch competition did not start until I think 11. We were standing in line. I still was number 6 in line. I was like, I'm making it on
Okay.
that stage to pitch. I pitched and we ended up out of 400 pitches that they heard, we got second place. And so that was my first bit of money I ever won. It was $10,000. And the CEO of Black Ambition, she said to me, she was like, hey, like, great job up there. Your product tastes great. You should apply for Black Ambition. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Don't know what it is. Great, cool. Went on about my day. Got home. I had like 4 other pitch competitions lined up. We ended up like winning first place in those. It was like back to back to back to back to back. Found out I had applied for Black Ambition. We got in Black Ambition. Found out I got another accelerator program, which got me to Tulsa. So that one is called Act
Okay.
House, and it's 70K non-dilutive for it's industry agnostic, and anyone can apply basically as long as you have been in business for 2 years. And
Mhm.
so they were like, but you got to move to Tulsa for it. I'm like, okay. I was working for AstraZeneca as well as my 2 other jobs. And so I'm like, like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to leave my job, but, um,
Decisions, huh?
right. Left my job, moved to Tulsa, found out I had won Black Ambition all at the same time. Left Tulsa, went to New York
Wow.
and got our check. And then, yeah, it's been
So, so, besides the excitement of winning these pitch competitions, what did it personally mean for you on a professional level?
um I feel like I finally stepped out of like the little girl business owner to being like
Hmm.
the grown woman business owner. It was like
Okay.
I saw the transition happen. It was like, okay, I know what I'm saying now. I can speak to my numbers. I can use all this business jargon that a month ago I had no idea about. But
Okay.
I was so adamant about, hey, I want to know everything about my business. Like, yes, I know how to make the product. I can make the product in my sleep. That's no problem. But at the end of the day, like, yes, formulation might be my passion, science might be my background and where my head usually goes. But I want to make sure I understand all of this business part of things as well. And I think that
Okay.
is what the YouTube courses and the reading the articles and just like calling people on LinkedIn and building out my network of people just asking questions helps me to get to that point where it's like I can stand in front of Pharrell Williams and hold a conversation about my business and know what my elevator pitch is and all these things. But a year ago, I probably could have never done that. So, yeah, it all came with growth.
Yeah, and that's and it shows too because you mentioned that even from the start of doing setting up display stands, you would get better and better. So you seem like the person that just soaks up information and tries to apply it,
I'm always a
and
student,
that's good. I
always
think
a student to the game.
yes, and I think that's so important for entrepreneurs because as my pops used to say growing up, you can't teach someone who already knows everything. and so so they never learn because they think they know everything. So
Yep.
you had the great attitude. Now, getting onto store shelves is a big hurdle, especially for beverage companies. So you went on one time and you were off and you got on again. So tell me how you broke into retail, and what advice would you give an entrepreneur out there trying to get their product into grocery stores or retail stores?
Start slow and really figure out what regions like your product the most. Now, when I say that, most people are like, "Oh, like I don't have money to go around the US and try out and sample out my product." But there's great resources like well, for me, BevNet or Nielsen. Those are all great resources for food and beverage or CPG entrepreneurs that you can go in there and you can see what flavors are working on what and what demographics and what areas and what regions, all those things. When you go to a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or HEB or whoever or Kroger, when you talk to them, tell them what regions you want to be in because immediately they're
Okay.
going to be like, "Hey, national distribution. We love the product."
Mm-hmm.
Boom. If you do not have one, the manpower, or two, the support from all those regions, you're off the shelf in no time. And then here you are, stuck. All this inventory
Okay.
that you just purchased, and there's nowhere to move it. But if I know, hey, in the Northeast, pineapple and hibiscus are like selling off the shelves on all these other bigger brands. 9 times out of 10, pineapple and hibiscus are gonna work in that area. Like, when we came out with our peach flavor, I was like, "Let's hit Georgia like it's
Of
not like,
course.
let's hit Georgia like crazy, 'cause Georgia loves peaches, North Carolina, South Carolina. Let's hit the South with that flavor because, unfortunately, in North Dakota, they not really they like, "Okay, peach is cool, but, like, we're not really after peaches." So,
Right.
but it was, like, flying off the shelf in Georgia. Of course, but the retailer wants you to do that research because they don't that it's like, "All right, I already have a million things to do. I'm not doing this research for you as well." If I can go into a retailer meeting and say, "Hey, these are my products. I want these in this set of stores. I want these in this set of stores. I have all the addresses. I have all the store numbers. Boom, let's do it." They're like, "Amazing. She's done all of my work for me. I have nothing to do now." But put it on the
Right.
shelf. So yes, always go in with like a strategic plan and figure out what your goal is for retail. Map that out down to like I said, almost like when I was pitching to Walmart and I really, really wanted Walmart at the time, but I was just like, it really is such a massive retailer that for the type of
Mhm.
production we had at the time, it didn't make sense. But I was like, when I went into my pitch, I told them I had it down to the aisle number of where I wanted my product to be located. I was like, I will give you bin code. I didn't call the store and everything to know exactly where I want this to lay because I understand these beverage buyers or these retailers, they have so many brands that they're managing that it's like if you can at least do 80% of the work, it's an easy transition for me to just go ahead and put you on the shelf. Instead of me having to figure out and then gotta email you back, all this stuff. 6 months
Mhm.
time, it's like, all right, well, in 6 months, we don't even know if your product will be hot anymore. We need this done in
Right.
3 weeks. So,
So you got to be prepared. You got to do your research and
yes.
have a strategic game plan. Now, I try to do as much research on the guests as I can. I've read and watched your other interviews. You talk about building a clean energy drink brand with a purpose. What kind of impact do you hope Rejuvenation has on the market itself and on individual people's health?
So, for me, it was always that I would hear, individuals that look like me, like, "Oh, like, I don't know what those ingredients are," or, "Oh, I don't know what this is," and I'm like, "Okay, we gotta read our labels because that's how these companies are getting away with so much." It's like, we only read the front or we only we would let whoever tell us, "Oh yeah, this is good," or "It does this, it does that." But it's like, if you don't read your labels, how do you know what you're actually getting? How do you know the percentages? Or, can you then go to your doctor and be like, I don't know why I have diabetes. I don't know why I have high cholesterol. Well, you've been drinking high fructose corn syrup in every single thing for the past your whole life.
10 years.
Right, for the past 10 years. So for me, it was really just creating a product that had such clean ingredients and that was in plain layman's terms that a child
Mhm.
could walk up to it and be like, okay, I know exactly what this is. If I was to tell my mom what this is, I can tell her what it is and she knows what it is. Yes, Wyasa is on the label and people are like, we don't know what that is. But we say right next to it, like, energy herb from Ecuador. Like, please research. And
Mhm.
that ends
Yes.
up being a conversation opener. But that was really like my goal at the end of the day. We do a lot of work with or we've done some work in the past with the Asthma Allergy Association of America. And even with them and like some of these other what's the one? MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Mhm.
Whenever we're working with organizations like that, we always talk about, okay, what is going to be like the impact, or like what is how do we show that an energy drink brand da 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 da. A lot of these kids nowadays, they're drinking any and everything that their favorite influencer tells them. Bang took the world by storm and had all these teenagers and just teeny boppers just bouncing around off the walls with it. I work at a school, so trust me, I'm like um and so I was like, "Hey, like, we gotta do something," because just as, if you read the, Panera Bread had the lawsuit last year.
Mhm.
21-year-old
About the
girl
about
died
the
from.
caffeine?
Yes.
Yes.
21-year-old
Yes.
died from a heart attack, and then a 30-year-old man died from a heart attack. It's like, did they have a heart issue or did their heart just blow up? Like, so it's
Right.
things like that that, people are not really interested, or people don't take the time out to understand what their ingredients are, or or even know how to read a nutritional value label. And that was our end goal at the end of the day. It's like, we want to provide that type of resource to people where it's like we can all understand what we're consuming yeah.
That's interesting. I did an interview with the Mr. Malka, who started the art of shaving, and he sold it to Procter and Gamble. But he and his wife started a natural, um, what do you call it? Like face cleansers and different things of that nature. And his advice was the same thing: read what you're putting on your body. Read what you're putting on your body, and you're talking about reading what you
When
put
you're
in
in
your
your right,
body.
exactly.
Yes, yes. So that's very important. Let's talk about the strategy you had, brand decision making. Now, when you think about the beverage industry, it's dominated by flashy marketing. You see all the commercials, you see this and that. How do you approach building your brand identity for rejuvenation, and how does it reflect you authentically?
So, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm kind of very bubbly type of personality, and my nails are always super, super colorful. Um,
I see.
so, I really wanted something that like just emulated me as a person. I was just like, hey, like, I am normally the one person in the room. Like, if everyone else has black on, I'm probably gonna have on yellow, or I'm probably gonna have on like a bright pink or something. Like, that's always who I've been. My mother and I are
You was
both.
like that as a child.
Yes, very much so. My mother and I
Okay.
are both we're both a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and everyone always says that we have some of the loudest colors, a part of all of
Okay.
like the organizations. And I've literally been in pink since I was born, and so I think I've just taken that on as my personality. That's who I am. Also, now for the Okra Water side, which a lot of people were interested to see that we kind of took a switch with our branding with Okra, because even though they're under Rejuvenation Beverage Company, they are still two different brands and they have two different customer personas. And
Now, when I saw okra, you remember you talked about how you could look at certain products and you get thirsty right away. I, I was like, man, this looks refreshing. I want to. Was that the idea behind the branding for
that was
okra?
definitely the idea, because like the
Okay.
Okra Water, it's supposed to be this hydrating beverage. It's supposed to be this. We're trying to bridge the gap between beauty and beverage. So we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
make this into a, drink your skincare. It says on the can, made with your skin in mind. Okra helped me actually clear my adult acne as well as help me regulate my hormones. So I was able to lose weight faster. I was able to kind of like keep down some of those just hormonal imbalances that I was starting to see as I've gotten older, as well as my sister who like she uh not sister. My aunt who had a hysterectomy, like, went through a lot of problems, and just in the women's wellness space, Okra Water has been this, like, huge breakthrough. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of GYNs and a lot of, midwives and, doulas have been reaching out to us like, "Hey, like, now we have a product we can just give them instead of telling them you gotta go up, cut up your okra, soak it in water, and all this other stuff." So we had to switch our customer persona for the between the 2 because Rejuve is
Okay.
super loud, but it's energy. It's supposed to provide you that energy. It's supposed to be juicy, uplifting, all those things. While Okra is more of hydrating, relaxing, like I'm gonna go to bed, I'm gonna have my
Mm-hmm.
self-care day. Like that's what we were going for that. So they're
So
both of
so
my
base
sides.
s- so what I'm hearing from you, and you let me know if I got the right idea, or I could have the wrong idea, but I'm hearing rejuvenation is what you use. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go play basketball, and okra, I'm going to the spa.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right. So when you think about all the things you've done thus far, give me. You may say I'll do everything exactly the way I did it, but give me one strategic decision that you would do differently. Just give me one, because you got a lot of people out here that's listening that maybe they want to start their business, they want to get in stores, they have a product that's a consumer product. Maybe you could give them advice based on one thing that you would change.
Keep your books as clean as possible. Before you start actually taking any money from anyone, or even if you're in your first year of business, get that business bank account as quickly as like, I mean, before I even finish the words, go apply right now. Get your
Okay,
business bank
okay,
account. Keep those books as clean as possible. You don't have to go and hire an extremely expensive CPA. Even if you just had someone who can just go through your QuickBooks with you and have make sure your keeping is like clean and up to date. Have your balance sheets, know your numbers because margins is what kill us. If your
okay.
margins are not healthy, that is what will end your business at the end. Like you can win all the money in the world, but if you're not making that times 2, it it's a flop.
That's yeah, okay. Makes sense. How do you keep your team aligned with the mission that you're on? So we talked about we talked about the scientists, we talked about the personality, the look, but now we're talking about the leader of the team. So
Mm.
how do you keep, especially in a company that grows and scales beyond startup phase, because you're past that now.
I'm telling you, some days I'm like, I don't know if they like me or if they hate me. No, so the current team that we have is we're still pretty small. We're still under it's only 6 of us. And
Okay.
I will say that there are some my mom is one of my team members. She's fantastic when she wants to be a team member. On days that she wants to be my mom, that's when we have some
That's
problems, but
that's challenging. That's challenging.
but no, I will say really like we have our weekly meetings. Everyone knows what they're good at. And that's the one thing
Mhm,
I feel like I've been blessed with is identifying what people are good at and identifying their strengths. And I think as a
mhm,
leader in a company, you have to understand people are allowed to have weaknesses. Some people think you're
mhm.
supposed to come in and know everything. Like we just had two we just actually hired on 2 new people yesterday, so I'm in the onboarding
Mhm.
process today and Monday. And people are allowed to have some weaknesses. Like you're not perfect at everything, but
Of
it's
course.
identifying what their strengths are and identifying that okay, is someone else stronger in that weak area and being able to put collaboration in your team with people to like
Mhm.
put them together in their own little teams. And
Mhm.
I think that's what is working for us now because at one
Okay.
point I just was like, on your resume it says you do this. Fired.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, but no, we've gotten better at that.
You like the soup Nazi.
I'm like, wait a minute. No.
No,
But
no,
still,
not for you.
fire fast though. Still fire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. That
Okay.
yeah.
Now, Anna, you have to make a decision when it comes to innovation and new things that's in the market, right? So, how do you decide? How do you balance innovation with staying true to your original mission? Because, like for example, Okra Water, that was a innovation, that was new.
Yeah.
You needed something, so you can't just jump at everything that comes out there. So, how do you make the decision, and how do you stay balanced?
So for us, we saw that rejuvenation was in a market that was becoming a little bit oversaturated to the point where we were drowning. And we were like, hey, what can we do to make a pivot, but still be able to rebrand while we're making this pivot seamlessly? So yes,
Okay.
Okra Water is on the forefront right now. We're like distracting y'all almost like, oh my gosh, Okra Water, da da da. But then next year around this time, you'll start to see Rejuve come back. He'll be like, ah. So, it's really just we're just trying to stay at the forefront of, like you said, what's innovative while also keeping up with the trends and the changes. I mean, everything has gone away from bottles and now everything's in cans, and we'll probably see that switch back to bottles sometime because history repeats itself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it really just is keeping up with the times of what people are doing. So we're just having to make that transition seamlessly so it doesn't seem so like, oh well, they just got rid of everything and then they came back. No, we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to slowly start innovating our product line because we have 4 pillars for the company, and we've had these 4 pillars. It's um, energy, hydration, focus, and digestion. So we have our energy product, we now have our hydration product, and then we have 2 other products that will be coming out in the next 5 to 7 years that will focus on focus and digestion. So we've always
Okay.
known like we wanted to open our like we want to end up being that plant-based Coca-Cola with all these different products that anyone can find something that works for them in.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the mindset of the entrepreneur. Anna, the entrepreneur. What personal habits or rituals that you've developed that helped you become resilient and clear as a founder?
Well, for me, being more faith-based, definitely prayer. Of course, if you're not faith-based, just having time, taking some time out to write down your thoughts and your feelings because at the end of the day, we're still people. Like we still have like my grandmother was sick and I had to go home and take care of her because my mom couldn't do it on her own. Like these are still things that happen outside of business. Of course, people only see like your business, but you have to still remember tap into that like the personal side of you. Like I'm still a daughter, a friend,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. And for me, I coach volleyball and I absolutely love it. I mean, it is like my 2 hours of joy every single day. Well, Monday through Thursday. And then when we have games
Mm-hmm.
and tournaments and stuff. And that is I realized that I needed something like that. It was the only thing that actually could pull me away from my computer and I could also like, get some physical, physical movement
Yeah.
happening. But
It was an
it
outlet for you.
it was an outlet, and it's really about finding what that outlet is, um, that will keep you level-headed, because
Mm-hmm.
when I'm mad at work or mad at business, I can go and smack some balls around, and I'll be fine. Like, and I'll be
Right,
good.
right.
Oh, but yeah, definitely finding an outlet and just taking time out for yourself, yeah.
Since you started the company, you always have these different goals and benchmarks. Tell me, how has your definition of success evolved from when you started Rejuvenation to now?
Um, that's a good question, wow. I think that when I first started it was just like, oh my goodness, like, can I even make a sale, or can I, you know,
Okay.
post and people actually respond to it or anything? And now it's like, now for me, so a friend of mine and I, we have like this little like game that we play, and it's like, okay, well, if you get for every retailer you get, or for every store you get into, and they order X amount of product, you can get a new Stanley Cup, or you can get a new tote bag or something
Okay.
like that. So now I think the milestones have changed. Like they're definitely much larger, but even just like, I think for me, it's just like seeing my grandmother so proud and so happy. And like when
Mm-hmm.
she calls her friends, she's like, Anna is doing this. She has this huge business and da, da, da. And she's like, well, Mary, I'll call you back because I got to talk to Anna because she's this business owner. So it's stuff like that that just like, it like
That's
that.
success to you.
Yeah, that's success to me.
Yeah,
It's like, wow,
okay.
my grandmother thinks I'm a celebrity.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how has this journey shaped your identity, not just as a founder, but as a person in general, Anna?
Whew.
Are you
Um, Go ahead.
I almost interrupted you. I'm not going to help you with this question. I'll ask you afterward. I'm going to ask you afterward.
Um, I will say I've learned patience like nobody's business. I have, ooh wee.
That's where I was going, Anna. I was going to ask you, has it made you more patient?
Yes. I have learned patience. I've learned I've really learned what, like, when people are like, never give up, don't give in. I've really learned what that meant, because the amount of
Uh,
no's to yeses that you get in entrepreneurship is insane. I mean, I hear at
yes.
least 1,000 no's like every week, it feels like, about something. But it's like that one yes that you're like fighting for is like what you like that carries you on for another 6,000 no's. So,
Yes.
so yeah, definitely patience and, yeah, resilience. You need all of it.
So
You need
what's
all
next
the
for
fruits.
Of course, you need it. You need it. What would you say is next for rejuvenation? Like, where do you see the brand in the next 3 or 5 years? I know you say you have two more products that you want to put out there.
Yeah, so we have Okra, and we just hired on a director of sales and strategic partnerships yesterday. And so I'm super excited to see where this goes with working with the Pilates studios and the OBGYNs and what that sector looks like. Just because we're not really focusing on traditional retail this time, we're kind of doing it a different way. And yeah, I'm really excited to see like how far this Okra Water takes us. It's a fantastic product. I will say I worked with between myself as like the lead formulator, and then we worked with two flavor labs. This has been like my absolute favorite. Like I'm like the one that has to stop taking from the inventory because I absolutely love the product. I'm like, can I just take? And they're like, Anna, no, you have to stop. Um, Also the
You can't get high
co-packer.
off of your own supply, Anna.
Exactly,
That's what they say.
that's me. I will say also the co-packer we're using this time, fantastic. Like just a really great partner, and the sales team that we've put together for this. I'm really excited to see between the Okra Water as well as what this rejuvenation rebranding is about to look like for our energy
Mm-hmm.
shots, for our energy juices, and how that will like translate into whatever this new trend is about to be for the beverage market. I'm actually going to Supply Side West at the end of this month. I got the grant to go, which I'm super excited about because
Congratulations.
I'll be able to source new ingredients and figure out what new flavors are trending and all these great things. So Q4 is finally starting to look up. Well, it's
Okay.
peaking. It's not necessarily looking, but it's peaking up. And yeah, I'm just super
That's
excited.
good.
Yeah.
So let's um let's fast forward you 10, 20 years from now. What do you want rejuvenation to be remembered for?
Um I would love for us to so hmm, I would love for us to have exited by then. At least 2 to
Okay.
3 brands under our name. Rejuvenation Beverage
Okay.
Company, I want to stand alone, but I would love for some of our brands to have exited. But just to be known as like just a unapologetic, really just like for the culture type of like company. I just want us
Mm-hmm.
to have made some sort of impact that people will, be like, oh, like I remember when I used to, drink this product and how I felt, or like really, really resonate with our products. Like when they see our
Mm-hmm.
logo, it's like, oh, like I know that they have high standards, or I'm gonna feel good, or X, Y, and
Okay.
Z. So, yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. Final question for you. If you could speak to young innovators that are just starting out, not necessarily young in age, but young in the entrepreneurial journey,
yeah.
especially those facing their own setbacks and crises, what message would you want them to walk away with from you?
Um, m- my go-to for me specifically when I'm like feeling like I have no direction or I've lost all hope, I always go back to customer persona. And my two of my mentors, they stress this enough. They're like, you have to get super hyper focused on what that customer looks like. And when I say what that customer looks like, we are talking about give them a name, their favorite color, where they shop at.
Stuff so far today, Anna. But if you could speak to young innovators, and when I say young, I don't necessarily mean young in age, I mean young in their entrepreneurial journey, especially those facing their own setbacks and their own crises, what message would you want them to walk away with from this conversation?
Yeah, so for me, I whenever I'm like feeling like I'm losing sight or losing hope in business, where it's just like, like I talked about
Mm-hmm.
those days where it's just like, no, 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 no. I really go back to making my customer roadmap and making a customer persona, and really like fine tuning what that looks like. So for us, we have Jane. Jane is 26 years old. She shops at Nordstrom Rack. She likes Uggs. She likes Pilates, like, but I really get into deep detail, like her hair texture, her eye color, everything. And I take all of that and I utilize the AI tools that we have available to us, like ChatGPT, or you can use like Sora, and you can ask it like, hey, what should I be doing as a brand if this is the customer that I want to see have my product, either drinking my product, wearing my product, using my product? Like, if this is my goal customer, how, like, what should I be doing? And it gave me a ton of ideas. And with those ideas, my vision became a lot clearer, and I was able to then turn those into images, turn those into branding. But I started getting my dream customer to actually come to my site and purchase my product and see my product with that person, which makes it all more worthwhile. So I would definitely say just really hyper focus and remember who you're doing this for. Not necessarily like, yes, the impact, all those things mean a lot. Like, yes, they're great, but your vision might not be what your customer's vision is. And you always have to remember, at the end of the day, you're still building a business here. You're not
Mm-hmm.
building a
Yeah, exactly.
501c3. So you're building, you want it to be a for profit, and in order to get a for profit, you have to have a customer who's
Yes.
willing to purchase for your
Okay.
product.
That's a
So,
great
yeah.
answer. This has been a wonderful conversation. It's been a lot of
Thank
fun.
you.
Your story is such a powerful
Yes.
reminder that innovation often comes from deeply personal moments, and that resilience can lead to extraordinary impact.
Yeah.
From your health journey to scaling rejuvenation and winning national recognition, you've built something truly inspiring. So I'll have to say thank you for joining
Thank
us on
you.
Ingleside Reviews, Innovators Unveiled. I know our listeners are walking away with a valuable lesson about courage, strategy, and purpose driven entrepreneurship. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Now,
so much for
to
having
our
me. This
audience,
was so
if
much
this
fun.
conversation inspired you, Make sure to follow our show wherever you are listening and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well for more interviews with game-changing founders and innovators. You can learn more about Anna Cobb at Rejuvenation by checking out the links in our show notes. And as always, keep innovating, keep creating, and never stop unveiling the innovator in you. Until next time, I'm your host, A.D. Edwards, signing off.
See you next time.